Hello everyone, my name is Jovica and you can call me Chef Jole or Kuvar Jole in Serbian. Today I'm gonna show you how to prepare Leskovachka Muchkalitsa. Pay attention, Leskovachka Muchkalitsa, two words. This is a very traditional meal from my area in Serbia where I was born, Leskovac, which is a city about 200 miles south from Belgrade in Serbia. And we have that really delicious meal made of mixed meat and vegetables. I will make Leskovachka Muchkalitsa with chicken meat, but usually it can be made of any type of meat like pork or beef. Let's start with the ingredients. What are the basic ingredients? So I put everything on the table what we will need to prepare this dish. So the first is chicken, about 1.5 pounds up to 2 pounds. Then I use avocado oil for cooking. I use this Vegeta spice, which is really delicious spice from Croatia. Then sea salt, red bell pepper. It's a little bit spicy, so don't overdo it. Then we have turmeric, curry powder, ground black pepper. Then we have basil, parsley. Then we have onion, mushrooms, peppers, and tomatoes. That's it. The first step is to cut onion. So we'll start with chopping onion, and I can show you my unique way how to chop onion. I am sure different people have different ways how to chop onion. The way how I do that, I think it's pretty unique, and I hope you will like it. So I just want my onion to be chopped really well. So I cut into half first, and then I sliced small pieces like this and this. So you can see that onion is now really very well chopped in small pieces. So just trying to minimize the cutting time by cutting in slices. So I cut a lot of slices in parallel, so I reduce the time necessary to cut the onion. So let's chop it all the way. That's it. Now this is ready to put in the frying pan. I use non-sticky frying pan. That's it. And it is always a good idea to have some nice music in background so that you can enjoy your cooking. You can also dance while you are cooking and sing. Da prodamo jano dušo, samo da igramo. I think this is the amount of oil enough for now, so I'm gonna start large burner, or maybe between 6 and 8, and we just need to mix it a little bit and let it fry. One thing what I usually put at the beginning is a little bit salt, sea salt, to caramelize this onion. Now we can leave this to fry and get some crystal shape. Now while onion is frying, we can prepare meat. These are chicken thighs, so you can wash them well, and I usually clean usually clean too much fat because I don't like really much fat in my meals. But if you like fat, it's good for you. You can eat or you can put fat. So the way how I clean this is basically with a knife, trying to clean all fat that I don't want to eat. You can't clean thoroughly everything, but as much you can clean, that's better. So just be careful when you clean so that you don't cut yourself. There is no reason to rush or whatever. You have to be very careful when you work with a knife, and it's very important that the knife is sharp so that you can do a good job on cutting. Now I think this is done, so now we can cut it into small slices. As I show you, I like to cut, whatever I cut, I like first to cut into stripes and then into small pieces in parallel, because that speed up my cutting time. So I keep all pieces together and I cut them like this, so I don't waste much time on cutting, and I get very nice granular small pieces that we will fry later on. This is almost done. Okay, let's turn around. Okay, almost done, almost done. Yes, that's it. This is a little bit too much of fat. Okay, so now all chicken is cut into small pieces. Now it's time to put spices. So a little bit of salt, but not too much. Then we need to put a little bit of vegeta. You have to be very careful with this. I know how to do that, but I recommend you to use spoon when you do this. So I'll put from all spices a little bit, but not too much, so that you don't overdo. Basil, then we put parsley, a little bit, ground black pepper, then we put red pepper powder, which is a little bit spicy, so be very careful how much you want to put there. You don't want, if you prepare especially for kids, you don't want them to be very spicy. Then turmeric, I love turmeric and it tastes good. So this is slightly different variation of Leskovachka Muchkalitsa, which is traditional meal. I add a little bit more Indian spices, so it tastes a little bit better. Curry powder is also good. It's good for cancer prevention, and I like it too. So now everything is mixed there. You just need to mix it a little bit and see how is onion doing. So onion is just caramelized, started to get brown color. Maybe I a little bit overdid, but it's still good. It's not that bad. So now we can mix this meat and spices all together and add them up in the frying pan. Make sure to mix everything in together. Mix very well with onions and let it fry for a little bit. While it is frying, I will show you how to cut vegetables that we're gonna put in this dish. Before I start to cut vegetables, I need to check how my chicken is doing. So it looks pretty good and smells pretty well, so I'll just stir a little bit, cover again, and maybe reduce to 6 while we are cutting the vegetables. So the way how I cut vegetables for Leskovachka Muchkalitsa is also very unique way, especially how I cut tomato. So I cut tomato first into half, then into small slices, very small slices. Then I stack everything on top and then continue to cut like stripes. Turn around and very granular. So all this will be very well fried and cooked, so you won't see any big chunks of tomato once it is ready. But the more granular you cut, the faster it will fry and be ready. Okay, almost done. I have lots of experience with cutting, so once you get into this routine, it's pretty easy. These pieces are kind of slippery, so you have to be very skilled with your hands how to hold them to cut them. But basically that's it. So one tomato is ready. Next tomato. This one is smaller one, it will go even faster. And maybe 2 slices and stripes. And finally the most granular. Doesn't need to be so precise, but I'm an engineer and I pay attention to details, so this is why I do this way. Anyway, it's actually good, but this is how I prefer. Second tomato is ready, and now I cut red bell pepper. You see, I look for these lines on the pepper, and then I spread it, and it breaks pretty easily. So now I cut stripes. All stripes. Line them up together. And cut all together. We can now start to add one by one. We don't need to wait for all vegetables to be cut to add into chicken, because chicken is almost ready for the next step to get more vegetables. So this is frying pretty well. Now we are adding a little bit tomatoes. Mix very well. We don't want to put huge quantity of vegetables at the same time, because the temperature of the cooking mixture will drop a lot, so it will take a lot of time to bring up to the cooking temperature again. So just a little bit, then we cover, and let's go and finish the pepper. So pepper is almost done. Let's cut the next pepper. How I cut green red bell pepper. Green pepper is the same as red bell pepper, believe it or not. So it's the same principle, only different color. Okay, now stripes, stripes. Line them up. One more. Pepper is ready. The next step is pre-washed mushrooms. So this is how I cut mushrooms. Try to be also small pieces. I'm doing that from a chef's perspective so that you can see what does it take to prepare this dish. This is pretty granular. Now let's do the other way. It's easier to cut when you turn it the other way. Excellent. Let's turn all of them. Try to speed up a little bit so you see. You can use whatever technique you find that it is working for you, but this is my way to parallelize cutting and make it faster, so you don't spend much time playing with the vegetables. I think this is now all ready, and now we can put everything into the frying pan to mix with the rest of meat and tomatoes. This looks pretty good. Oh man, yes. Now to mix all together. All together and let it fry for some time. Looks pretty colorful. This is how I cut garlic. So I clean it, then cut into stripes and into very, very small, tiny pieces. And then I add that into the frying pan. I usually put garlic at the end after I put everything else, because I want the most vitamins and minerals from garlic to stay unchanged during frying process and boiling process. So let's stir that a little bit. And the amount of spices that we put into chicken before I put chicken to fry is probably not enough for this quantity, because we put extra vegetables. So what I do, I usually taste how salty it is, just to check how everything tastes, and then accordingly I add more spices. Pretty good, but we can add some more spices. In terms of salt, I think it's good. I need to add a little bit more spices to be more flavorful. So again, the same, put a little bit more basil. A little bit more of vegeta. doesn't seem very chili, so I can put a little bit more chili pepper powder. As I said, don't overdo with that black pepper. I also didn't feel much black pepper. And the last two things are maybe turmeric and curry powder. You can also put this all together with oil and onions and make like curry before you put chicken. But this is also pretty good, so it still tastes good. So now, as you see, there is a lot of liquid over there, which is liquid that comes from vegetables and a little bit of meat. So we want basically this to evaporate so that chicken is really well cooked and fried, and it's very tender and very delicious. So now it looks pretty nice. I just cover it and let it finish for another 5-10 minutes. Okay, now it is time to check how is chicken doing, and I think it's almost done. So we still have a little bit liquid. We don't want all liquid to evaporate, because this is like kind of nice curry, and that's pretty good. We started to fry maybe 40 minutes ago. By now it's ready. Let's try one piece just to see how it is done. It's so hot. So good. So tender and soft. Perfect.
All right, taste trial number one. I've never tried this before. First time ever. It smells really good. I'll give you that. Sauce looks nice and thick. It looks like there's turmeric in here, so.
Yes, turmeric. So Chef Mike will now give his opinion. How does it taste?
Very good. It's definitely very good.
It's very good.
Yes.
I'm glad that you like it. Can you provide more description how you taste it?
So it tastes like there's a turmeric aspect, but it tastes like a reduced vegetable kind of sauce. So like definitely like some tomato and stuff like that. You can. There's something else in there. There's something like I don't know where the fat or the oil comes from, the vegetables and or chicken combination.
This
probably.
is avocado oil.
So avocado oil. Oh, interesting. Okay.
So you first time try something
So
with avocado oil?
yeah. So basically, you know, like when you make like a spaghetti sauce and then you put it in the fridge and you bring it back the next day, and sort of has like that. It tastes better sometimes. Like the flavor settles and it sticks to the noodles better. It has that kind of aspect. So it has that sort of aspect of the fats sort of maturing in flavor and stuff like that.
Cool.
So yeah.
Okay.
One thing I might change is the peppers are a little bit like I might try put the peppers a little bit later in the cooking process so they stay bright green and don't get like that soury pepper flavor you get.
I see.
And you could play around with making the sauce a little bit thicker, like taking the tomatoes and actually sort of cooking them hot a little bit and just getting a deep sort of burnt flavor a little bit, just a little bit. But other than that, it's pretty good.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.